I'm going to tell you about the weird and somewhat embarrassing costume choice that I made when I first started doing stand up comedy and how it actually helped me. My name is Briana Hansen, and this is a spark. I was so scared to do stand up comedy. I don't know why. I was doing sketch and improv comedy. I was doing solo work for a very long time. I had been on stages in front of people for a really long time, but I was obsessed with stand up. And I think part of what happened is I tried it once and I overly prepared and I overly rehearsed and I had overly unfair expectations about what was going to happen from that one open mic I went to in Chicago. I was going to immediately be good at it. I was going to immediately have found my voice and I was going to immediately be asked to tour. Obviously it was just like an unfair expectation. So the very first time that I tried to do it, which was back when I was living in Chicago, and I remember, to her credit, and she would never remember this, but Cameron Esposito, who is a great stand-up comedian, was, I think, running the mic at the time and was so kind. And I had been, from the moment I moved to Chicago, been writing stand-up comedy jokes and trying to, get myself to do it, but instead I was deeply vested in the sketch and improv scene. And no regrets about that. God, I love doing that. And it is very much my personality. But I really wanted to do this other thing as well. And I wasn't doing it, largely out of fear. So I did this one mic. It did not go great. I really worked my jokes and I really had to get them perfect and all the stuff that doesn't work for stand up. And so after that, I got really scared to do it again. And I went deeper into solo work, sketch, and improv, which kept me plenty busy. But when I moved to Los Angeles and I had done a lot of that scene and the same sketch and improv, and it wasn't as exciting to me, and I was looking to evolve and I wanted to do other things, and I really wanted to get into stand up. And I was so freaking nervous. God, I was so nervous. And the truth about nerves, and people ask me this a lot because now I keynote speak and I've been on stages all the time and I still get on stages all the time. Nerves are okay. It means you care. If you're not nervous about something, then you're not invested in it. It's okay to be nervous. The difference is I you learn to harness those nerves and you learn what it feels like in your body so you can re-find your grounding, or you set yourself up in whatever it is you're doing on stage to give yourself like a little looseness at the front so you can get your own nerves out, so you can find your grounding, so people don't pick up on it. You do whatever it takes to get yourself on that stage with confidence. And then you can, to just take the first leap, and the net really does appear. So I'm outside this mic, and I've been on stage so many times, and I really wanted to do this one really dumb open mic in a cafe, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. I couldn't figure out a way in. And so I decided to take on like a persona. um and not like a total caricature, which can work for people, but it was just like my stand-up me. I got fake glasses, really thick glasses, and I put on bright red lipstick. What's so funny now as a keynote speaker is I love wearing bright red lipstick, but at the time that was not exactly like my MO. So I put this on, I put on this thing, and I go in, and I felt so much safer because I could take it off after. And I did my jokes, and it went okay. But the hardest part was just the first time. And then I was like, okay, I can do this. And I kept wearing this bright red lips and thick glasses. And I kept, just trying and kind of meeting people. And then eventually I'd go and I'd realize I forgot my glasses. I didn't have them in the car. And so I'd do it without glasses. And then eventually I'd be like, do I really want to put this lipstick on? And so I'd start doing it without lipstick. And then eventually I was able to be myself on stage. And I'm not saying I was getting good, but I am saying I was getting good at being comfortable being me, which was the most important thing to being authentic when you have a microphone, just being yourself. And looking back, I realized that was one of the things that I struggled with in that very first time I did it, because it was so important to me that I be perfect. And it was so important to me that I be like excellent at this. And it wasn't about like having a voice in it. It was about, finding my voice. It was about making you laugh and being like, aren't I clever to have observed this thing? And getting it right. And so much of stand up and really creative art and performance is the authenticity of finding your voice. Once you find it, it's exciting, but as you're finding it, it's difficult. But in the process of finding it, you just kind of have to do it. So whatever you have to do, and to get yourself, whatever you have to do to get yourself to the phase, to the thing that you want to do, just give yourself that like training wheels. Eventually you'll discover you may not need them. And if you do continue to need them, but you're loving the thing you're doing, who cares? You're doing the thing that you wanted, even if you have training wheels on, even if you're taking on a persona. The truth is, when I do stand up, when I do any of these things, when a camera is on, that is a version of me that is authentic, because I love it. But it's not like, we're always performing in some way, shape, or form. And so, although I found my elements of my authentic stand up voice, and I'm like kind of getting antsy to go back to it, but I found elements of it, but it was still a version of me, It was still like, now she didn't wear thick glasses and bright red lipstick, but she still was like, what am I selling? What's the brand I'm selling? And in doing that, that's how I kind of like learned how to be myself, or figure out, the way I wanted to approach this particular challenge. So the lesson here is just do what you need to do to get yourself to do the thing that you want to do, and you will figure it out, baby. All right, I'll talk to you soon.